Revealed, the spine-chilling secrets of the devil-s Sinister war council for the cursed apocalypse. Mia clutched Ethan's hand, her heart racing as they stepped into the sleepy Midwestern town. Everything looked picture-perfect with manicured lawns, cheerful neighbors, and tree-lined streets that seemed to whisper secrets from a past long gone. But she had no idea how deep the shadows ran beneath this facade. Flickering streetlights cast ominous shadows, and hushed conversations husked tales of missing pets, the kind of stuff that sets off alarm bells in any mother's mind. "Mom, look at that tree." Ethan pointed, wide-eyed. The bark was marred with strange symbols, like an ancient language that filled Mia with unease. She forced a smile, hoping to reassure him, but inside, her instincts screamed for escape. Then she heard its soft murmurs drifting from the clusters of neighbors as they stood in tight circles, eyes darting around like scared rabbits. "The council," one whispered, eyes glinting with fear. Who was this council? What were they hiding? Her days began to fill with dread. At first, it was the flickering lights outside their home that unnerved her, then it was the laughter of children outside that echoed into a chilling intensity. She felt their stares every time she passed by the old, dilapidated school on the edge of town, a place where sunshine used to flow, now a husk swallowed by decay. It was no longer an institution but a graveyard for laughter, a monument to secrets best left buried. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One night, after a particularly restless day filled with whispers and odd symbols, Mia awoke to silence. She turned and Ethan was gone. Panic flooded her veins. "Ethan!" she cried, scrambling through the darkened house. She stepped into the backyard, the cold grass against her skin a sharp wake-up call. He was gone. Following eerie giggles through the thicket, her gut twisted as she crossed into the shadows. The light from the moon struggled to break through the branches, revealing dark figures cloaked in ominous black, their low chants reverberating in the air. The old school loomed behind them, an eerie monument of forgotten innocence. Her breath caught as those cloaked figures circled something central, a crude altar, the stones slick, glistening like blood in the moonlight. An offering, she heard one whisper, their eyes flickering like candles as they turned towards her hiding place. Cold dread washed over her. This was no ordinary council. This was a gathering bound by darkness, a pact forged through sacrifice. A sharp crack of a twig broke the tension, shattering any remaining hope of escape. All heads turned, their hollow smiles revealing sharp teeth. For a moment, everything blurred, her world shattered into shards of terror. She turned to run, but already she felt the grip of darkness closing in. Once home, she braced herself. The house she'd hoped would be a refuge now felt more like a trap. And in the deep shadows of their living room, she heard Ethan's laughter, not pure as it once was, but twisted and echoing in a way that screamed of ancient nightmares. "You're back, Mommy," he said, his voice almost melodic. But the warmth was erased by something sinister lurking just beneath. The realization hit hard, time was slipping through her fingers, and she was racing against a force far beyond her comprehension, one that wanted Ethan as part of its grotesque game. What must she do now? Mia's heart pounded painfully against her ribs, echoing through the silence of the house. She turned slowly toward Ethan, who stood just beyond the shadows. The light from the street lamp outside flickered and danced on his face, casting it into stark contrast, innocent yet unnatural. "Ethan, come here," she managed to say, her voice barely more than a whisper. This wasn't the same child she had known. She kept her eyes trained on him, willing herself not to show fear, but a part of her already knew that the boy she loved had changed. "Why did you take so long to come back?" he asked, tilting his head slightly, a grotesque mimicry of his usual curiosity. The sudden glint in his eye made her skin crawl. There was something deeper, darker, lurking beneath that innocent facade. "Sweetheart, let us go back to bed," she pleaded, taking a cautious step forward. The air felt heavy, laden with a sulphurous odor that clawed at her throat. The shadows seemed to expand around them, as if alive, reaching out with eager fingers. His laughter rang out again, a sound no longer resonating with joy but with a mocking undertone. It wrapped around her, binding her in a web of confusion and dread. "Mommy, they're waiting for us," he trailed off, his eyes glistening with anticipation as he looked over her shoulder. Something instinctively told her not to turn. Every motherly instinct screamed at her to keep her eyes on Ethan. But curiosity gnawed at her, an insidious need to understand what was lurking in her own home. Slowly, she let her gaze drift. The living room transformed. The walls began to stretch and pulse with a life of their own, the shadows cascading in thick waves like fog billowing around a crypt. The air carried whispers, foreign tongues clawing at her sanity. Join us floated through the air, faint yet insistent, sinking into her bones like ice. "Ethan!" she cried, panic shattering her daze. She darted towards him, but the ground seemed to shift beneath her feet, and a sudden surge of darkness pressed in from all sides. Shadows emerged from behind the furniture, grotesque figures morphing from the deepest fears of her mind. "Mommy, they need you now," he whispered chillingly, his little hand reaching out, beckoning her toward the darkened corner of the room. She felt her will slowly draining, helpless against the pleading look in his eyes. "No. I want tea," she shouted, fighting against the force threatening to drag her into the abyss. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, she lunged for her son. The shadows recoiled for an instant, and she gripped his wrist tight, feeling the coldness seep from him like a specter. In that moment, Ethan's face twisted into something unrecognizable, an image of angry malice and twisted joy. "You can't escape the council, Mommy," he hissed, the normal cadence of his voice replaced by something sinister. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she pulled him closer, seeking warmth in his presence. "I'll save you. We'll find a way." But deep within, a terrifying thought crept in: what if Ethan didn't want to be saved? With one last ferocious squeeze, she turned on her heels, heading for the door. The house around them groaned, the wind howled through cracked windows, and the darkness reached out, grasping at her ankles. "Mommy! Where are you going?" The voice behind her sang, its melody now drenched in siren-like allure. The shadows pressed closer, whispering promises of eternal belonging, of joining the council, the desire to embrace what lay beneath the surface. As she stumbled into the night, heart racing, Mia gasped at the sight awaiting her outside. The town stood eerily still, bathed in an unsettling glow. Dark figures lingered at the edge of the street, their shapes blending into the deeper night. And there, standing among them, was the council, faces she recognized twisted into things beyond comprehension. Mia's resolve cracked. She knew she had merely escaped one haunting but had plunged headfirst into another. The last words from behind pulled at her: "You'll come back, Mommy, you'll join us." With dread knotting in her stomach, she realized she would be forced to confront not only the council but also the choices she had made, and what they truly meant for Ethan. As the looming shapes began to move towards her, pulling her into their collective darkness, she wondered how she would escape alive and at what cost. What was really waiting for her in the heart of that cursed council? The figures surrounding her shook the ground with their presence, a rhythm that pulsed like a heartbeat, loud and unnatural. Mia felt the chill in the air wrap around her, each breath sending icy tendrils seeping deeper into her lungs. She stood frozen, caught between the horrors behind her and the council ahead. "Mommy!" Ethan's voice cracked like thunder, hollow with a resonance that made her knees tremble. There, waiting behind him, shapes shifted and coiled, faces distorted with hunger. The hollow laughter of the council echoed in her mind, drowning out her thoughts. Accursed whispers seeped through the atmosphere, promising liberation if she succumbed. She could feel the air pulsing with their silent commands, voices melting into one another like a cacophony of nightmares. "Join us, Ethan!" She took a step back, barely aware of the pressure building around her. Her instincts told her to run, yet the fear of not turning back registered deep down, primal and undeniable. "We can fight this." The darkness thickened, swirling and alive, and she felt eyes upon her, countless eyes, hungry, primal. The council had a grip on her mind, pulling her like a marionette caught in despair. What were they? What did they want? Ethan flinched, shadows crawling closer, his innocent facade cracking further.
Mia felt a surge of determination. No! This isn't you.
With a fierce tug, she pulled him closer, their bodies colliding, warmth sparking through her fingers. His breath came out jagged, mixed fear and confusion swirling in his gaze.
Mommy, I'm supposed to come with them. They said I could, don't you see? This isn't your choice. They're twisting you.
Panic dripped from every syllable, urging her son to recognize the truth. The council thrummed with impatience, shadows twitching, ready to snatch at Mia's heart as they whispered to Ethan, "Come join us."
Mommy.
His voice softened, almost pleading.
The flicker of vulnerability made Mia's stomach churn.
This was not the boy she had raised, but instead something darker, forged in the fires of the council's abyss.
Stay with me. We're leaving.
The shadows surged forward, consuming the edges of her vision as they lunged at her. She screamed, everything blurring to a frenzied panic. With a burst of desperate strength, she scooped Ethan into her arms, holding him close as she turned back toward the house. Her feet pounded against the ground, each step a fight against the paralyzing pull of the darkness. The council roared with laughter, their voices melding into something otherworldly and wrong.
It won't matter. You're too late. Join us or lose him forever. Don't listen, Ethan.
She yelled, thrusting the boy closer to her heart, her breath heavy with fear. But shadows lashed out, striking her ankles, pulling her down as if the earth itself sought to claim her.
No! No!
She felt a drop in her stomach as the ground shifted. Panic rushed over her like freezing water, drowning her thoughts.
Mommy!
Ethan's voice sliced through the chaos, his small hands gripping at her arm, fighting against the pull of the darkness. The shadows began to falter, losing their brutal grip as she pushed through sheer will. But when she glanced back, she saw Ethan staring at her, eyes wide, the flicker of recognition wavering.
They can help me. In that instant, it was clear.
The council's grip on him tightened, and dread seeped into her soul. She had to decide, could she save him even if he didn't want to be saved? The council drew closer, menace radiating with every step. She gritted her teeth, fully aware the battle had only begun. Suddenly, sharp pain shot through her side, the shadowy grasp tightening around her waist.
You can't fight the truth, echoed like a death knell.
With one last desperate lunge, she broke free, tearing through the encroaching darkness, but she felt them whispering power, wanting her to yield. But Mia had to find a way past the terrors of the night, past the council's seductive lies. The darkness pulled, and she was aware, some truths were cutthroat. What if saving Ethan meant losing herself? Forever? Mia's heart raced in her chest like a caged animal as she stumbled back toward the house, the shadows clawing at her heels. She could feel their icy breath against her skin, hot breath of the damned. Each step burned more than the last, her muscles screaming for respite. But there was no time. Ethan's small form still nestled close to her chest felt like the only warmth left in the freezing grip of despair.
Ethan, listen to me.
She gasped, but her words seemed to dissipate in the air, swallowed by the suffocating darkness closing in around them.
You must fight them. You are stronger than this. The distressed echoes of the council drummed relentlessly in her ears. Join us. Please, Ethan.
She felt the weight of his confusion. Every moment they lingered was a moment lost to the consuming shadows. He wasn't responding, his small frame limp in her arms, eyes unblinking.
Suddenly, the air rippled, thickening, warping like a dying breath.
A figure surged forth from the council, its face a mask of chaos, their leader, the one who initiated this twisted game.
Its eyes glowed with a predatory hunger, and Mia felt her stomach flip. Mia, the figure whispered, voice like shattering glass, do you truly believe you can escape? You are tangled in the very fabric of our designs.
Give him to us, and he shall be reborn.
Reborn? She spat, adrenaline igniting every remaining ounce of will in her. He was never meant for you. Let him go.
Ah, but you misunderstand, it replied, voice oozing like honey mixed with poison. He can become more than what he was, a vessel for us, to fulfill a destiny he does not know he craves.
Mia's grip tightened around Ethan as she faced the figure.
She had never felt so small, so utterly helpless. The weight of the shadows intensified, pressing against her, pulling every ounce of hope from her veins. Yet a fierce light sparked in her chest, the fire of a mother unwilling to surrender. "No!" she shouted, an echo reverberating against the walls of the endless night. But even as she said it, doubt slithered into her mind, curling like smoke. What if they were right? As she cradled Ethan, she felt another hug of apprehension. Did he even want to be saved? Mia! Ethan's voice broke through her internal chaos, eyes finally focusing, a flicker of brilliance illuminating the dark. I want to go with them. I can be strong. I can help. No! A chasm opened deep inside her, a sense of dread curling around her heart. You don't understand. The figure grinned, presenting a sharp, unholy smile. He knows more than you, dear mother. The council can give him power, something you could never provide. Mia took a jerky step back, her gaze darting between Ethan and the monstrous figure. No, Ethan, please. Ethan blinked, confusion twisting his features. A hint of struggle flickered in his eyes, but the shadows began wrapping around him, tightening their grip. Mommy! His voice faltered, caught between two worlds, the tangible warmth of her love and the chilling embrace of something he didn't yet comprehend. You must fight it. Fight! Mia's heart pounded in pure terror as shadows slashed at her back, desperate and angry. With each moment, the council rallied for dominion, thrumming in unison, a living mass of despair intertwined with an insidious hunger. The air grew thick with anticipation, a grotesque tension wrapping around them like a noose. Join us, little one, they cooed, beckoning him with ghostly hands. Ethan's face shone with uncertainty, the conflict of his soul laid bare before them. Mia felt tears prick her eyes. Ethan, please. Fight them. But as the shadows encroached, doubt gnawed at her resolve. How could she save a son intent on choosing darkness? Suddenly, the ground cracked beneath her feet, a deafening rumble, shaking her from her thoughts. A fissure opened wide, swallowing the light. Mommy! Ethan screamed, his small body quivering. Before her resolution could coalesce, the shadows surged again, this time aiming for Ethan, pulling him away, offering freedom in a suffocating way. No! Mia screamed, reaching for him, but the darkness stretched like an insatiable beast, eager to devour. In an instant, her choice lay bare, the weight of a mother's love and the terror of losing him pressed down hard. She had to act, something had to give. Hang on tight! Mia shouted, grasping Ethan with all her strength, the earth quaking beneath their feet. The council roared, their shadows writhing, craving their prize. Would the fissure become a bridge to freedom, or a chasm of despair? As they teetered on the brink, Mia knew one truth: there was no turning back now. The ground gave way beneath them with a bone-jarring crack. Mia barely registered it, the world around her spiraled into chaos. Dark tendrils lashed out, biting at her heels, pulling at Ethan with the kind of force that felt as though it could rip the very fabric from her skin. Hold on, Ethan. Please. She screamed, her voice crackling with desperation. The shadows writhed like vipers, twisting toward them, glowing near-transparent mouths opening in hungry wails. Mommy! Ethan shrieked again, his small fingers clawing at her shirt as if it were a lifeline. The fissure roared around them, a dark throat threatening to swallow them whole. Are we going to fall? No! I won't let that happen. Mia gritted her teeth, feeling the burning doubt in her chest turning colder. But as she pulled him closer, the shadows coiled tighter around his tiny form, whispering sweet nothings that cut like ice. You're mine, come to us. The figure from the council laughed, its voice sending shards of fear down her spine. You see, Mia? Even now, your child knows where true power lies. Give in. Let go of your fear and embrace the inevitable. He will join us. He will thrive. With a primal scream, she thrust herself forward, pulling Ethan against her. The shadows clawed relentlessly, raking at her back, while the world trembled. Sweat dripped down her brow. No! I will fight with everything I have. We won't be taken. Wordlessly, Ethan's eyes darted from her face to the gaping fissure below, splintering her resolve. The chaos around them roared, drowning out her rational thoughts, and she sensed the beast rising deep within the fear that choices lay beyond her control. Mia, the leader of the council, beckoned, its voice curling like smoke in the air, seductive and venomous.
You can provide him with love. But we shall give him something more. Power. Purpose. Please stop denying him. He wants to join, let him soar.
The shadows lashed, and Mia pressed her palm against Ethan's cheek, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath her trembling hand.
Ethan, you're everything to me. We can find another way. This isn't who you are. No. He cried, shaking his head. I feel it. They're right. I want to be strong. Mommy.
His voice split her heart wide open. The portal below churned, twisting the world into a spiraling maw, a beckoning void, pulsating with a hum that resonated in her gut.
Ethan's small form began to slip from her grasp.
Panic washed over Mia like a wave as the shadows tightened around him. With a burst of adrenaline, she hoisted him high, standing perched at the edge of the abyss.
Ethan! I will not let you go. Resist them! The council grew frantic, their voices overlapping, frenzied whispers echoing like broken glass, insisting and pleading.
They were hungry, and Mia could sense the pulse of their collective will, pounding at her mind.
Was she losing him?
With one last plea, she squeezed him tightly and hurled herself backward, away from the chasm.
Bright light engulfed them, a flash that left her temporarily blinded.
For a heartbeat, there was only silence, and then the darkness roared back, louder, angrier, and ferociously hungry. She was falling, slipping through shadows. But then Ethan gasped. As the darkness enveloped them, it suddenly paused, as if contemplating. Then, things changed. The shadows recoiled, spiraling back into place. The council gasped, their monstrous faces twisting in surprise. The shifting void quaked slightly, as if something new was coming. The fissure held secrets, and there was a sudden flicker of hope where there should have been none. A brush of wind flickered against her chilled skin.
Mommy, what is happening?
Ethan muttered, a nervous tremor threading his words.
Stay close.
Mia shouted, her heart racing.
Was this the calm before the storm? Or was something else rising out of the depths?
The air sparkled with the taste of electricity, a charge like storm clouds brewing. The shadows stirred, and in their depths, something dark and ancient seemed to awaken.
Mia's stomach dropped, fear igniting within her.
She had a choice to make, one that could seal their fate irrevocably.
Let us see how you survive the darkest depths, the council intoned,
and the ground trembled again, threatening to pull them back into the abyss.
What awaited them now?
As the shadows churned, a flicker of light pierced through the darkness, promising enlightenment or devastation. The light swirled around them, illuminating the jagged edges of the void. Mia squeezed Ethan's hand tight, a lifeline in a world that felt increasingly alien. The shadows pulsed like a heart, throbbing with dark energy, each beat echoing in Mia's chest.
What was this power? It was exquisite, intoxicating.
Mia, I'm scared, Ethan whispered, his wide eyes shimmering with tears, reflecting the chaos around them.
Me too, baby.
But we have to stay strong, she forced out, her voice trembling like the very essence of her being. The shadows spiraled closer, whispering secrets meant only for the brave or the foolish. Mia, the leader of the council, leaned forward, the grotesque features twisted in anticipation.
You never understood, did you?
The choice before you goes beyond mere survival. The darkness rippled in agreement, and Mia felt a chill creep up her spine, as if the cold breath of the council was drawing nearer.
What choice? What did they want from her?
We can grant your son a future that eclipses all, the council continued, shifting like smoke against the wind.
Join us, Mia. Embrace the shadows. You can defeat your fears and become one of us. No.
She spat back, struggling to grip her own sanity.
You're lying. You want to take him away. His life is not yours to decide.
The glassy faces of the council twisted into something resembling amusement.
They didn't care about her, or Ethan.
They were after something much darker.
In the flickering light, fragments of memories danced like phantoms, swirling in her mind. Visions of childhood laughter, safety in familiar arms, a world unmarred by fear.
She could almost feel it, but the shadows drowned it out, tangled roots tightening around her heart.
Ethan's small voice broke through her turmoil. "Mommy, I want to be strong. Like the council says." "No!"
Mia screamed, her voice slicing through the cacophony. Desperation crashed against her heart.
"You are not weak. You don't need them to be strong. You're my son." The wailing shadows seemed to pause, the air thickening with disbelief. There was a moment where everything teetered on a knife's edge.
The council's laughter turned into a hiss, furious at the challenge.
Then, the light flickered more intensely, illuminating something tangible in the darkness. Mia squinted, heart pounding. Was it a way out? Or was it another trap designed to ensnare them? "Stay by me,"
she urged, tightening her grip on Ethan's hand. She could feel his small body trembling in her grasp, the fear a mirrored reflection of her own. The shadows hissed, almost conversational, and the air grew heavier. They weren't just angry, they were threatened.
Something about Mia's defiance had unsettled them.
She recognized it now, the primal fear that clung to them, the very essence of their existence at risk.
"Mia," the leader hissed urgently, its twisted mouth curling as it spoke. "You cannot fight us.
Join us, and you will know power unimaginable."
In that instant, time slowed.
Mia wrestled with her thoughts.
Was this the answer?
The shadows were relentless, promising everything she longed for, yet asked for a price she couldn't bear to pay. With a sudden spark, a surge of anger coursed through her.
"You're wrong. Power isn't taken, it's chosen. And I choose love."
And with that declaration, the light exploded into a blinding radiance, forcing the shadows to recoil.
Ethan gasped.
But that very moment of hope was rapidly snatched away as the fissure trembled violently, erupting with a roar that shook the very ground beneath their feet.
"Run!"
she shouted, fear igniting adrenaline throughout her veins as she yanked Ethan forward, darting toward the searing light, desperate to escape the growing chaos around them.
Behind them, the council erupted into furious howls, shadows coiling like serpents. What was left of their power twisted and turned, threatening to pull Mia and Ethan back into the darkness. Light or shadow? Love or power?
She had to decide, and fast. In the chaos, the fissure began to shatter, splintering reality as Mia charged ahead, her heart slamming against her ribcage. Would light be enough to keep the shadows at bay? As they plunged deeper into the glowing landscape, she couldn't shake the feeling that something else lurked in the shadows, something worse than they had faced before. Could she protect Ethan from that? The question screamed in her mind as they stumbled blindly into the unknown, the light seeming both an escape and the beginning of another damnable nightmare. The moment they crossed the boundary of light, the havoc of the shadows faded behind them, but Mia's relief was short-lived. The intensity of the bright world surrounded them twisted into a dazzling chaos. Ethereal colors danced before her like fireflies, but beneath the surface shimmer, a suffocating dread coiled tight around her heart.
"Mama, where are we?"
Ethan's voice cracked, breaking through the swirling noise. His hand slipped against hers, sweaty and trembling. She could feel the weight of his fear pressing down upon them both.
"It's okay, honey.
We're safe here," she lied, forcefully shoving aside the gnawing fear that clawed at her throat. But as they moved deeper, the chaos around them grew to a crescendo. Shapes flickered just out of sight, whispering in a language Mia felt she should understand. She turned sharply, scanning for signs of danger, but all she saw was light fluctuating wildly, transforming shadows into bizarre figures that seemed to leer back at her. "Mia, this place is wrong," Ethan murmured, taking a step back, his eyes wide and uncomprehending.
"I know," she whispered. "But we have to keep going."
They stepped forward, though every instinct screamed for them to turn back. As they ventured further, the landscape shifted, revealing a vast expanse lit with surreal colors, but the chaos in her mind wouldn't be quiet.
Phantom echoes clung to the air.
Whispers of the council danced around her ears, reminding her of their seductive promises.
Power? Protection? Or was it something more twisted, something insidious that lurked just beneath the vibrant exterior? Mia shook her head to dispel the thoughts threatening to bubble to the surface. The price of their offer haunted her. She focused on Ethan, his small face etched with worry, and drove them onward. Suddenly, a sharp crack split the air. The light shattered like glass, and a gaping hole of darkness yawned open beside them, whispering. Heart racing, Mia grabbed Ethan's arm just as powerful tendrils of shadow reached for them, gripping the very fabric of her reality. "Run!" she shouted, pulling him away from the churning abyss. The ground shifted beneath their feet, and a thick fog began to envelop them. They stumbled through an unceasing blur of light and shadow, wrapped in a terrible tension that gripped her chest like a vice. "Mama, I'm scared!" Ethan cried, his voice rising in pitch. "I'm here. I won't let them take you," she managed to say, her voice strained, though the shadows threatened to swallow them whole. But then, against the swirling chaos, a figure detached from the fog. A woman with translucent skin that shimmered like the surface of a near-empty lake, her eyes voids that drew Mia in. "Did you think you could escape?" The woman's voice was smooth but edged with a palpable malice. "The council, they're coming. Their gifts never go unpunished." Mia stood frozen, her heart leaping into her throat. "What do you mean?" "You're tangled in their thread now, dear Mia. Light can't hide you from shadows," the woman replied, a smirk curling her lips. Before Mia could retort, the vibrations of the world intensified. Something was breaking. The very ground rolled like waves beneath them, and the woman's form flickered, becoming unstable. "Mia!" Ethan screamed, pulling at her. In that trembling moment, reality shifted again. A piercing light erupted, flooding the space, bright enough to banish even the darkest thoughts. Mia felt it coursing through her strength, clarity. But the glee was fleeting. A cruel laugh echoed, melding with the light. "You can run, but what you fear most could be your salvation." Then, just as suddenly, silence fell. The light dimmed, and all that was left was the stifling darkness closing back in. Mia felt the fear wrap tightly around her heart once more, and through the shadows, she sensed a deeper dread lurking, waiting for its chance to strike. "What happens if we can't escape?" she murmured, the thought creeping into her mind like a poisonous vine. Ethan's small hand shook against hers, grounding her momentarily. But she could feel the pulse of terror rising again, louder now, drowning out everything else. From the swirling darkness, the council's laughter rang out, a reminder of the choice before her. Would she find the strength to defy them again, or was despair their only fate? As the shadows closed in, suffocating all light, Mia realized she had no answers. Only questions that echoed in the dark. What if love wasn't enough to fight the shadows? What would become of Ethan if she failed? Each heartbeat drummed a steady rhythm of fear as they braced for what came next. The shadows thickened, swirling like a storm around them. Mia and Ethan stood at the center, the weight of darkness palpable, each breath weighted with despair. The air crackled with tension, a sinister energy brushing against their skin, urging them to move, to flee. "Mama," Ethan whimpered, those wide eyes pleading for reassurance. But Mia felt adrift, her mind racing. There had to be a way out, some hidden path through the madness of this realm. She could almost hear the whispers of the council, distorted but piercing, taunting her with every heartbeat. Before she could respond, the ground beneath them trembled again, this time more violently. A fissure opened wide, jagged and pulsating like a wound. From its depths came a low growl, deep and guttural. It vibrated within her bones, sending chills down her spine. The very fabric of this strange world began to unravel. "Mama, I don't want to stay here," Ethan cried, pressing closer to her, his tiny hands grasping at her shirt as if it were a lifeline. "I know, baby. We'll find a way out. Just stay close," she urged, not entirely convinced herself. She could sense the inevitable dread curling around them, tightening like a noose. Mia forced her feet to move, tearing away from the rift that beckoned with dark promises. They stumbled over rocks that felt alive, writhing and shifting underfoot. The colors around them were blurring into one another, becoming grotesque shapes in the periphery, watching, waiting. Look! Ethan shouted, pointing toward a flickering light. It pulsed erratically, somewhere in the distance, cutting through the haze like a beacon. Is that a way out?
Mia squinted, her heart fluttering with cautious hope.
Maybe, but it could be a trap. Ethan's grip tightened, and he tugged at her. Please, Mama. We have to try.
The fear in his voice awoke something fierce within her. Mia felt a spark of determination, chasing away the tendrils of despair that swirled in her mind.
Okay, let us go.
They broke into a hurried run, the ground shifting beneath them, each step feeling precarious.
Mia could feel the lingering eyes of the shadows piercing through the chaos, feeding on their fear. It pressed down on her, an ever-present weight. The flickering light grew brighter with each desperate stride, illuminating their path glimpses of the spectral landscape.
Gnarled trees twisted into frightful shapes, roots clawed at the ground like the fingers of the damned. She could feel the whispers swell again, warning her of the council that lurked just beyond the veil.
Faster!
She urged Ethan, feeling a shadow brush past her with a cold, clammy touch. The darkness seemed to pulse in time with her racing heart, and fear gripped her throat like a vice.
Just as they neared the light, it began to fade. The ground trembled violently, rocks splintering away. Mia's pulse hammered in her ears. Above all the chaos, the council's laughter echoed hollow, mocking. Mama, it's going away.
Ethan yelled in panic, terror sweeping over his small face.
Mia's heart sank. No, no.
She pushed through the paralyzing fear, grasping Ethan's hand tighter.
We can't let them win. With a surge of adrenaline, they lunged toward the fading light.
But it flickered ominously, dancing just out of reach. A bone-chilling laugh split the air, and beyond the diminishing glow, the shadows surged forward.
Do you feel it?
The voice echoed, a breathy whisper weaving through them. Your salvation is so close, but salvation always demands a price. The darkness pressed in, shadows clawing at her, pulling her back. Mia clenched her jaw against tremors of panic, thrusting her body forward, urging Ethan along. They stumbled into the light just as the ground split open again, a seething mass of darkness reaching out, eager to reclaim what had slipped away.
Hold on.
She turned, shielding Ethan with her body as a wave of shadows surged forward. Just then, the light pulsed again, brighter than before, and Mia could feel its warmth, the kind of warmth that heals, that promises a release.
But would it hold strong against the darkness?
Stay with
me, Ethan.
She gasped, knowing that something monumental loomed on the other side of that light, something that could either save them or doom them forever.
And as they barreled through, the very fabric of reality cracked, revealing what lay ahead. Would they emerge as champions or be swallowed whole by what awaited them?
The question lingered in the air, thick with uncertainty, as the shadows clawed at their heels. As they stumbled through the blinding light, a violent rush overtook them. The warmth enveloped Mia and Ethan, but as quickly as it had come, it shattered, exploding into shards of frostbitten air. The brightness flickered, dimming into an otherworldly glow that revealed a stark, barren landscape. They were no longer in the swirling chaos, they had crossed into a land that felt even more desolate, a domain where hope hung by a thread. Mia shielded her eyes, disoriented. The terrain was bleak and cold, stretching infinitely with jagged rocks and twisted shadows. Ethan's grip was still firm around her hand, but his small body trembled beside her, the fear radiating from him like a chilling breeze. Where are we? Ethan whispered, his voice small, barely a breath amidst the unsettling quiet.
Mia scanned the horizon.
There were no signs of life, no shelter, no sound but the rhythmic thump of her heart.
I don't know, sweetheart. But we need to keep moving.
A low hum resonated in the air, a dark undertone that tickled the edge of her consciousness. Those whispers surged again, swirling around like a locust swarm, echoing secrets she didn't want to hear. Don't listen to them, she murmured, forcing her thoughts away from the shadows that seemed to dance at the corners of her vision. She took a step forward, but the ground shifted beneath her, as if it wanted to swallow her whole. She steadied herself, pulling Ethan close. Deeper into the barren expanse, strange shadows flickered at the edges, elongating and shifting, whispering promises that sent shivers down her spine. Then, they appeared. Figures cloaked in darkness,
their faces obscured by hoods that draped like fluid shadows. They stood, a council of specters, their forms blurring into the gloom. Mia, one of the figures, spoke, the voice sliding through the air like a knife. It was deep, resonant, and filled with an ancient malice. "Welcome to the reckoning. You sought the light, and now you find yourselves on the brink of judgment. What do you want from us?" Mia shouted, the rising panic clawing at her chest. Ethan shivered beside her, she could feel him quaking with terror. "Your son holds the answer," another figure replied, a faint glimmer of a smile hidden beneath the shadows. "Only he can determine whether you escape or join us forever in this cursed realm." "No." Mia shook her head, denial pouring from her like a waterfall. She turned to Ethan, who looked up at her wide-eyed, his innocence piercing through the darkness. "We won. Let them take you. We'll figure this out together." As the council continued their murmurs, asking questions that dug deep into her mind, figures of doubt crept in like wildfire. The shadows swirled around Ethan, brushing against his skin like ice, sending jolts of fear through them both. "Mama," Ethan whimpered, glancing at the looming figures. "I don't want to be part of this." "Then we won. Let it happen," Mia cried, feeling her heart hammering. She shifted her focus, searching for a way out. The flickering light may have vanished, but she felt a faint spark still within, a resistive beat against the frozen grip of despair. "Enough!" One voice boomed, cutting through the anxious murmurs. "The choices are being laid before you. But know this: only one can claim salvation. Salve comes at a price." A resonant laugh echoed, chilling her down to her bones, wrapping jealousy and wrath in a single breath. A thick mist enveloped them, swirling with sinister promises. It constricted around her throat. Mia felt the walls closing in, the whispers intensifying, each syllable a testament to her worst nightmares. "No, not here!" she screamed, pulling Ethan closer, her body taut with adrenaline as she fought against the rise of despair that clawed at the back of her mind. "We can find a way out. We can break free." But as the mist spun tighter, marionettes of despair danced before her, each puppet string tied to her heart, aligning the darkest fears within. The council surrounded them, their voices weaving through the mist, carrying the weight of the abyss, pressing down. As dread engulfed her, Mia's resolve began to crack. What would she sacrifice to save Ethan? Would she give up her own place in the world for the sake of her child? "Make your choice," the whisper loomed, thick with tension and malice, reminding her of the cost wrapped in salvation. And in that instant, with the council stretching out their hands, beckoning, Mia's mind raced. The price could be anything, could it not? Would it demand her very essence? The shadows loomed ever closer, and the answer held the weight of the world. Desperation sang in her veins. "Will you pay what they ask?" The question lingered in the air, heavy with dread. And as it hung between them, Ethan pulled back, fear radiating from him like heat. Mia's breath hitched. What would they lose next? With shadows swirling around them like a living shroud, Mia's mind raced, searching for a way out, a shred of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. She could hear the faint echoes of laughter from the council, a haunting melody that played on her nerves, each note mocking her urgency. "Ethan, stay close," she urged, pulling him to her side as they faced the figures cloaked in obscurity. The air felt heavy, laced with whispers that coiled around her like vines, wrapping her in memories of a childhood she desperately wanted to protect. Ethan looked up at her, eyes full of innocence and uncertainty that made her heart ache. "Mommy, I don't want to be here. I want to go home." Mia squeezed his hand, her own fear rising like a tide within her. "I know, baby. We're going to make it. Promise." But the shadows loomed closer, curling like tendrils wanting to steal them away. "You must choose, Mia," the leader of the council hissed, its voice a chilling melody woven with power. "Join us, and your boy will thrive. Resist, and face the ultimate consequence." A weight pressed down on her chest, forcing the breath from her lungs. Her thoughts spiraled into chaos. What would it mean to join them? What power would come at the cost of her son? But the flickers of the memories, the sounds of laughter, sunlight bathing Ethan's face ignited a fire deep within her. I won't lose you, Ethan. I refuse.
The council laughed, dark and taunting, weaving through the struggle in her heart.
Listen to the boy, Mia. He desires what we can give him.
The shadows surged, closing in as if they hungered for her answer. Ethan, she whispered urgently, kneeling to meet his gaze.
No matter what they say, you are better than this. I believe in you.
Confusion flickered in his eyes, caught between the council's seduction and a mother's love.
But, Mommy, they say I can be strong. What if I'm not strong enough?
In that moment, it struck her with raw clarity: shadows can only exist where there is light to extinguish.
You are strong, Ethan. You are my light, and nothing they offer can compare to what we have.
With a sudden strength, she pushed back against the shadows wrapping around them, feeling their hold loosen like a grip on a rope fraying. The whispers faltered and faded, replaced by the soft glow that began to pulse around Mia and Ethan, a warmth radiating from their bond. The council's laughter turned to shrieks of rage, their shadows twisting violently, desperately reaching out to reclaim what they lost.
Join us. You cannot deny your destiny.
Mia stood firm, her heart pounding in tandem with the pulse of the light.
No. We choose love. Love over power.
And as the words escaped her lips, a blinding flash erupted from her chest, engulfing both her and Ethan in a cocoon of brilliant light.
The shadows recoiled, shrieking like banshees as the searing brilliance exploded outward, rippling through the darkness surrounding them.
The council's visage twisted and faltered, their power cracking under the pressure of their defiance. When the light settled, Mia found herself in a world transformed. The barren landscape melted away, replaced by the familiar warmth of the tree-lined streets of the town they had entered before, now brightened, free of shadows. Ethan stood beside her, eyes wide in disbelief. "Mommy," he breathed, gazing open-mouthed at the vibrant colors that filled their surroundings.
"We did it!"
she gasped, lifting him into her arms, reveling in the heartbeat she felt against her chest.
We chose our own destiny.
As laughter bubbled up from the town, Mia felt the shadows dissipate, chasing away the remnants of fear that had clung to her. The council, a figment of manipulative darkness, was gone, vanquished by the sheer force of love they had embraced together. "Mama, I saw the darkness," Ethan whispered, nuzzling against her, finally feeling safe.
"Will it come back?"
Mia smiled down at him, wiping the remaining traces of fear from his cheeks.
"Only if we let it. But as long as we stand together, we light the way." In that quiet moment, wrapped in sunlight and possibility, she realized that love, true love, was the most powerful force of all. And they could face anything the world threw at them, hand in hand, heart to heart. With a heart full of a love fierce enough to conquer even the darkest council, Mia turned her gaze back to the road ahead, ready to embrace whatever lay next. They would forge their path, together. And in that promise, they stepped forward, finding a renewal that shimmered like hope itself in the soft glow of their future. Now, if you loved this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss even one exclusive story. Your support makes all the difference. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and make a difference. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what comes next. I can't wait to hear them. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this epic finish. Only true fans understand how vital it is to support the channel through these actions.